Alright, we're back, course, talking State of Play. We have an update for State of Play coming from Jeff Grubb, our boy Jeff Grubb. It's actually a couple days old. It came out on the 12th from one of his episodes of the Game S Mornings podcast, I guess it is. I'm just not seeing it, though. I don't know how it kind of went under the radar for me, but I happened to see like Pyro's tweet about this on the old Twitter sphere today. Figured we'd discuss it. The update that we have is kind of important because it conflicts with previous info that we had from Lunatic Ignis, where they said that the play is going to happen on either the 19th or the 20th, which would have it happening this week, right? Either Thursday or Friday. And according to Jeff Grubb, the state play is supposed to be happening around 12 days from when he did that episode, which would have put it on about the 24th. We'll just play the clip really quickly from the podcast, and we'll talk about it.
For that state of play is coming later this month. It's probably coming in about, let's say, 12-ish days. And in about 12-ish days, there will have a state of play, not a showcase. And it's like still, a year goes by with no PlayStation showcase where it's like, here's all our big stuff. And it's like, so people are going to set expectations low again. And it's like, man, you don't even have like, do you have Ghost of Tsushima to talk about yet? Do you have like all these, like, is there going to be a Naughty Dog game this generation? It is beginning to look a little bit like, oh man, it is taking them even longer than I think they expected to get these games out. And that is hurting them in a situation like this where they try to go out and make a case for why this thing's worth $700 and they just don't have anything to go along with that.
So the last bit there, obviously, he's talking about the PlayStation 5 Pro and kind of talking about the lack of a PlayStation Showcase, which usually shows off like a lot of the upcoming stuff. And how there's not really necessarily things to show off the PS5 Pro, right? They show off like The Last of Us Part 2, right? When it came to the Pro reveal. The game's like 4 years old. And there's already like a remaster of it for the PS5. Obviously, it does look better on the Pro, but still, you're like showing off like older games. Other than like Rebirth. Rebirth is maybe like the newest game on that list, and that's still like, 6 months old at this point. It's one of the main things that kind of hurt the Pro reveal for like me and other people out there too, is just them not showing off new shit. Like they're showing off older games and how they look on the Pro, and it's like, I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of people that would love to play like The Last of Us Part 2 again, where it looks even better. But still, it's like, this is a game that I personally already played like, 2 or 3 times at this point. I don't necessarily care to play it again or buy a PS5 Pro just to play it again, right? Like they're showing off, he mentions Naughty Dog, this console generation. If they were to show off like The Last of Us Part 3 at the PS5 Pro reveal and showing like side-by-side comparisons of like the PS5 version and the PS5 Pro version, now there's some excitement. You can see the actual differences and you have a reason to potentially buy the Pro now because there's a brand new game coming up. Or as he also said, Ghost of Tsushima 2. They could have shown off like a new game, just one new game reveal with the PS5 Pro reveal. It's kind of weird that they didn't do that. Anyways, enough about the PS5 Pro. I'm fucking bored of talking about it. He says 12-ish days from the time that he did that podcast, and that would put it on again the 24th. Now, he does say 12-ish, so it doesn't mean spot on the 24th. It could be a few days before, a few days after. As I did mention previously, that does conflict with something that Lunatic Ignis said. And here's the thing. I think, obviously I think Jeff Grubb's reputable. This person seems to also be reputable. They did call the reveal of the PS5 Pro, right? Whereas last time we talked about like the PS5 Pro with Jeff Grubb, he was just talking about them needing to drop it this year at some point. He never, that I had ever seen, given like a release or announcement window or where they might show it off at, other than the upcoming State of Play, right? But this person called that, and they have a specific date for when the State of Play is supposed to be happening, whereas Jeff Grubb's just saying 12-ish days. The thing is, I think either of them could be right, because like Lunatic Ignis said almost 2 weeks ago that is the 19th to the 20th, and they could have changed that, pushed it to like the 24th or something, or around that time frame. And also at the same time, like maybe Jeff Grubb heard that it's supposed to be on the 24th, maybe they push it up a little bit to around the 19th or the 20th. Because these events are like very quickly announced and then actually shown, right? Usually about the day before. They're usually like State of Play tomorrow. And they're online only things, right? And they can do them anytime they want to. They just go fucking live on YouTube to show it off, right? So they can literally just do it whenever they want. Whether they want it on the 19th, the 20th, 24th, 25th, it doesn't matter. They can just kind of make it happen anytime they want to. So I'm sure the dates can change constantly. The point is that whether Ignis is right or Jeff Grubb is right, I don't think it makes the other one look bad just because the dates can change. It's also possible that it was supposed to happen this week on the 19th to the 20th, but there's obviously some pretty negative reception of the PS5 Pro. Maybe they decided to push the State of Play back a little bit, push it to the next week, like to put some distance between the State of Play and the PS5 Pro announcement. And it could also not even just be for like the negative reception. They could also be pushing it back to another week just to give more time for announcements, for like devs to have stuff ready. Maybe they want to reveal stuff at the State of Play for the PS5 Pro, which they didn't really get to do too much with the actual announcement of the Pro. I want to stop talking about the PS5 Pro, and here we are talking more about it. It's obviously important to the conversation here. I will say, out of the two, like I'm more familiar with Jeff Grubb. His information has been pretty accurate over the course of the time that I've been using him as a source for information. Also, his information is a little more recent, right? You know, Ignis's information was almost 2 weeks ago. I'm a little more in favor of Jeff Grubb's information just because it's more recent, but at the same time, if it's happening this week on the 19th to the 20th, that's only 2 or 3 days. So it's either going to happen this week or it's happening next week. It ultimately doesn't matter. It's not that long of a wait regardless, but I figured we'd talk about it just because we're kind of looking forward to this week for the state of play in case there's going to be something, you know, interesting shown there, but we might have to wait until next week. For what might be shown at the state of play, obviously in terms of Square Enix shit, we're looking to the 9 remake, Tactics remaster / remake, whatever the fuck it does, Dragon Quest 12, Kingdom Hearts 4, something else too. I mean, I'm interested in other, you know, Square Enix projects. I'm interested in other games too. There's a cool new game coming out. I'm interested, right? But in terms of the content for the channel, Square Enix focused, those are the games that we know are in the works, and maybe they have other surprises. I don't know. As we always kind of mention with this conversation, like they got to start talking about future projects at some point, right? We had 16 coming to PC today. That's exciting. We have Rebirth coming to PC at some time in the future. Also exciting. And we know that Dragon Quest 12 and Kingdom Hearts 4 are in development, so we know those games are coming at some point. But it's like, what else? If you're not going to show off Dragon Quest 12, Kingdom Hearts 4, what the fuck else you got for us on the horizon, Square Enix? You got to start talking about some other games at some point. Like the big heavy hitters, right? They obviously have upcoming projects, things they're going to talk about, like Tokyo Game Show, but like I'm talking the big release. They seem to have like at least one kind of big release every fiscal year, right? And we don't have that one right now because Rebirth came out in February, so that was last fiscal year. As of right now, there's not really a big release coming out this fiscal year, unless they're like hoping that like Rebirth on PC and like 16 on PC, if Rebirth's even come out this fiscal year on PC, are going to make them a lot of money. I don't know. Also did have like the DLC come out for 14, so maybe they're gambling on that, making them a shit ton of money too. I don't know. Anyways, this video is longer than it needed to be. We're either having a state of play this week or next week. We'll see what happens. Hopefully something interesting will come from that. Anyways, that's the video. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Search networks in the description below. Follow me on Twitter, @DaveYT. That's it.
Used to care what people thought, but now I care more, and nobody out here's got it figured out. So therefore, I've lost all hope of a happy ending, depending on whether or not it's worth it. So insecure, no one's perfect. We spend it with no shame. We blow that like Coltrane. We in here like Rogaine, or leave it like Cobain.